Hi, thanks for joining me today. We're going to focus a little bit in this video on some movements for our hips. We have a tendency to be tight in the hips, and for those of you who ride, you know that that can affect your position in the saddle. So if you have something to sit on, we're going to use that in a few minutes, like a firm towel, folded up towel or blanket or a cushion, some type of firm cushion. Just have that off to the side. But we're going to start with a little warm up for the hips. So bring the feet out in front at the edge of your mat. So if I was sitting sideways on my mat, I would have the heels on the mat, toes a little to the outside, fingertips behind you to keep a nice length in the spine, and then just gently let the knees drop from side to side. So it doesn't matter where they go. The goal is not to get them down to the ground. If they come to the ground, fine, but it's just getting some movement in this hip joint, hip socket, and keeping a nice length in the spine. So still think of lengthening up through the crown of the head and make sure you're breathing. So just a few side to side, and as you're doing this, notice, is one side easier than the other? So notice if you have one hip that's tighter than the other. You might already know that if that is the case, but just be aware. And then come back to center, and now we're going to bring whatever we had to sit on up behind us and sit up on the edge with the legs extended out forward. So feet hip distance apart, flex the feet, and then take the right leg. We're going to take the right knee and bend it and bring the right heel back towards the left hip. Your knee may not be in this position that mine in. It may be up a little higher. Your foot may land here. That's fine. But just starting with a nice stretch for the outside of the hip. Let the hands come down on either side. Think of a nice width across the collarbones, nice length up through the crown of the head. And the reason we're sitting up on something, if we weren't, then there might be a tendency to kind of slump and round back. So you want to think of lifting your sit bones up onto the edge of that blanket or cushion, whatever you have. You can also do this seated in a chair. This leg, the extended leg, of course, bent down with the foot to the floor, and then this leg crossed over. So just feeling that stretch and sensation in the outer hip. And this might be just where you stay, or for a little bit more sensation, you can take the opposite leg and do the same thing. Again, if that's too much sensation for the hips, then keep that lower leg extended out. So wherever you are, take a few breaths here. You can place your hands, if you have both knees bent, you can place your hands on the soles of the feet if you like. Inhale, think of lengthening up through the crown of the head. Again, nice wide collarbones. Inhaling and exhaling, and then float the arms all the way up and overhead. Exhale, release the hands down. So just a couple breaths here. Inhaling, arms floating up and overhead, and exhale. The arms float down. Good. One more time. Inhale. And exhale, and then fingertips again behind you, unravel the legs, bring the feet out this time, again a little wider than the hips, and just do a little windshield wiper of the legs. So just let the feet relax and let this movement come from the hip. And then come back again to Dandasana, staff pose. So now we're going to take the opposite leg, bend the left knee, bring it across the midline. Again, maybe the knees line up, maybe they don't. Maybe your knees up here, that's okay. But think of bringing your left foot back towards the left hip. Lengthen up through the crown of the head, widen the collarbones. Notice sensation here. Inhale and exhale. And again, the whole point here, we're getting a nice stretch in that outer hip. And for the extended leg at this moment, we're getting a nice stretch in the hamstrings. So flex that right foot, toes pointing up towards the ceiling or sky. Make sure you're breathing. And again, another variation, if you like, bend that right knee, bring the right heel towards the left hip. And again, that's going to be more intense sensation for both hips. That's not working for you. Keep that lower leg extended. Inhale and exhale. Same thing here. If you have both knees bent, you can make connection with the feet. If you only have one knee bent, you can make connection with that foot that you have bent towards you. And then again, both hands by your side. Another movement, little sun breath. Inhale the arms all the way up. Exhale the arms down. So it gives us something to think about while our hips are talking to us. Inhale, arms float up. exhale, arms float down. Good, one more time. Inhaling, feel that nice length through the spine, through the fingertips, and release. And then once again, unravel the legs, bring them out in front. Just do that little windshield wiper of the legs. Good. So we're going to come to table pose. You can move whatever you were seated on just out of the way. Come to all fours. Spread the fingers wide so the wrists are under the shoulders and the knees are under the hips. Think of drawing the lower belly in and up, lengthen through the crown of the head. Inhaling and exhaling, finding neutral position for the spine. And then as you take your next exhale, round the spine, draw the belly in and up, let the head release down between the arms. And then inhale, send your sit bones back, let the belly drop down towards the mat, lengthen and lift out of the front of the shoulders, crown of the head reaching up. So do that a couple more times. Exhale, rounding the spine, nice stretch through the back of the body. And inhale, nice extension and length through the front of the body. Good, one more time like that. Exhaling, excuse me, and inhale. And then after this next inhale, come back again to your neutral spine and then bring the big toes together, bring the knees towards the outside edges of the mat, hands towards the outside edges, send your hips back towards your heels, let the forehead come down towards the mat. If your forehead doesn't make connection, you can always stack the hands up, making fists or just stacking them on top, or even use that firm cushion or blanket that you had earlier to let the forehead release if it doesn't make connection with the mat. A couple breaths here. So in this position, we're getting a nice stretch in the inner thighs, the outer hips. Find that breath. Inhaling and exhaling. Think of breathing into the back of the body. Lower back rises with the inhale. And you might sink a little deeper into the stretch, into this wide knee child pose as you exhale. Good, one more breath. And then as you take your next inhale, press into the hands, come up to your table pose, bring the wrist again under the shoulders and the knees under the hips. And then bring the hands in front of the shoulders, press into the fingertips, base of the knuckles, curl the toes under, lift your knees, send your sit bones up and back, come to a bent knee, downward facing dog. So really pressing into the fingertips, the base of the knuckles, keep the knees nice and bent, find that nice length in your spine. Inhaling and exhaling, and then slowly pedal through the feet, press down through one heel and then the opposite heel, nice and slow. A little warm up again for the hamstrings. And then coming to neutral, either with the knees bent or the legs straight, your option. Bringing weight to the left leg, lift the right leg up, look towards the hands, bend the knees, step the right leg up beside the right hand, lower the left knee down to the mat, uncurl the toes, left hand on the mat, sweep that right arm up and overhead, coming into a twist. So make sure that your right knee stays over top that ankle. Inhale and exhale. And then as you bring that right hand back down to the mat, we're going to bring it to the inside of that right foot. Both hands to the mat. Hug the right knee in towards that upper right arm. And then curl the back toes under, press through the heel, and lift the back knee, lengthen through the crown of the head. So if that is not working for you, just keep your knee bent, keep your knee bent into the mat. Keep the toes curled under. Little lizard variation here, getting a nice stretch in that inside of that right hip. If there's too much sensation, you can always put your hands up on yoga blocks or a stack of books, or even rest them on a small stool. Inhaling and exhaling. And again, if you have that knee lifted, you can keep that knee lifted if you'd like. Bring that right hand back to the outside of that right foot, and we're going to step back to downward facing dog. Right leg steps back beside the left. Make any adjustments that you need. Make sure your hands are shoulders distance apart, feet hip distance apart. Inhale and exhale, and then bringing weight to the right foot. Think of dropping down through that right heel. Lift the left leg up, three-legged dog, and then bend the knee, come forward, land the foot up beside that left hand. If it doesn't get all the way there, just take hold of it and help it step forward. Lower that right knee down, uncurl the toes, right hand to the mat, sweep that left arm up and overhead coming into your twist. Make sure you're breathing, inhaling and exhaling, and then release that left hand back down. As the left hand comes to the mat, go ahead and bring it to the inside of that left foot. So wrists, again, are below the shoulders. We're hugging that left knee into that upper arm. Inhale and exhale. Back knee can stay down. You can just curl the toes under for a different sensation. Or as you curl the toes under, you can also lift that back knee, press through the heel. Again, do what feels appropriate for your body. Inhale and exhale. And if you have that back knee lifted, you can keep it lifted, or you can lower the back knee down. Bring that left hand to the outside of the left foot, and then lift the back knee and step back again, downward facing dog. Maybe again, pedal through the feet a little bit. Inhale and exhale. And then gently release the knees down to the mat, uncurl the toes, fold back to regular child pose, knees a little closer together, or you can bring those knees again wide, big toes together, back to that wide knee child pose. So your option. Inhale and exhale. And then pressing into the hands, let's inhale and come back up to table pose. Bring the knees again under the hips. And let's come back to that seated position, back on our blanket or cushion. Legs extended again in Dandasana. We're going to revisit that Gomukhasana leg variation that we started with. So let's bend the right knee, bring that right foot towards that outer left hip. And notice, since we've done a little work with the hips, just a few minutes, notice if this now is different. And again, maybe bring that left leg in also. Inhale and exhale. Then bring the arms out to your side. We'll go full Gomukhasana here. So left arm up, right arm down. Bend your elbow. See if you can make connection, reaching the fingertips towards the midline of the body. Maybe your fingers touch, maybe not. Maybe your top of your fingertips is maybe on the base of the neck. Maybe the lower fingertips are reaching up between the shoulder blades. Just find a sensation there. And then release the hands again all the way back out. Arms down. And then we'll switch sides. So extend the legs again back out. Do that little windshield wiper of the legs. And now take the left leg, bring it over, left heel towards the right hip. Find that nice length in your spine. Maybe you stay here. You can do the same thing with the arms with that lower leg extended, or maybe again that lower leg comes in. Find your breath, inhale, the arms out to the side. So now right arm going up, left arm going down, and then bend the elbows and see if you can reach. Again, it doesn't matter that you make contact, it's just not. If you do, fine. If you don't, fine too. But just get that nice stretch, feel that nice stretch in the tricep muscle of that right arm. We're getting this rotation in this shoulder joint of that left arm. Inhale and exhale. And then release the hands again, float the arms all the way up and overhead, palms together this time. Bring the hands to the heart and then the hands behind you. Unravel the legs again, one last little flick of the toes here. And then just come to a comfortable seat, whatever that is for you. Maybe the legs stay extended out. Maybe you come to a simple cross-legged position as I'm doing. Let the hands rest on the thighs, palms up. Just close the eyes for a few breaths. Notice how you feel, notice sensation, maybe a little warmth or tingling in the hips. And as you're ready, let the eyes gently open. So thank you so much for joining me today. So that sequence you can repeat right from, we came back to that seated posture, that Gomukhasana with the legs crossed over. You could go back again and come to just revisit the video again, doing that same sequence with the downward facing dog and with the lunges, continuing to work on your hips. So again, another way to make the videos a little longer if you have more time. So thanks so much again for joining me today. Please give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Check out my website in the information below, and subscribe to my channel. And I hope to see you sometime soon in the saddle or on the mat. Thanks. Bye-bye.